review time. I'm just going to go through everything relatively quickly here. I encourage you after you watch this video to maybe make a checklist of things and then go through that checklist and actually practice every little bit of it. So I'm here in this guard position, right in between the legs. I'm going to drive one leg down. I'm going to search for that head control. Already starting to kind of connect my shoulder here. This hand is going to block that hip to stop that knee from getting back underneath me. And I'm just going to bring my knee to the inside here, turn, and establish that side control. You could do the back step as well, right? But for now, this is good enough. So I've got this nice side control. My shoulder's driving in, my pressure, right? So my connection's with this hand, my pressure's down on that near side shoulder, and my connection right now is through my knees. In order to kind of get better control, I can drop that hip and I try to close up as much of that space as possible, right? But for right now, we're going to go into that reverse switch base because we went to mountain last time, right? So I'm going to take this hand out, I'm going to plant it underneath his arm on this side, right? So I'm peeling it away from his body a little bit, and then I'm going to create a little path with this leg, blocking the hip with this hand, and I sit back, and if I can, I'm going to drive my hips forward and then back so I can get under that elbow a little bit because I don't want him trying to underhook me, and I've got that pinch right here. So now I'm going to tap his legs together, step over, hook, and Superman, right? If he's preventing me from doing that by kind of getting in this little triangle position, I'm going to pull on his toes like this, and he's going to feel like, oh shit, and he's going to want to straighten that, right? Or I can just tap that open, right? And then go back into that Superman thing. If I can't do either one of those things, maybe he's being stubborn, maybe he's not responding, maybe the rules of whatever I'm engaging in are preventing that, you don't want to hurt his knee, whatever, I'm going to flop open that leg. So now my leg is parallel to the ground. I'm going to grab my own toes and then slide them through and come over to my mount position. Now to come up, when I'm in this mount position, my feet are off the mat and they're close together. They don't necessarily have to be touching. I know I said touching, but they don't necessarily have to be. What I don't want is I don't want to be grapevining hard, especially on both sides. Like, it's going to be very easy for them to start to clear that hook. And I don't want him on the ground, right? It's going to be very easy for him to like start to actually open up my gate and work his way out if I'm in this low mount position with my gate open like that. So I just say feet together for now because I want you to kind of get used to that and to put you in a less vulnerable position. My chest is up. My weight, as much as I can, is going to be on my hips. I'm going to put my hands on this two forearms and I'm going to slide into this mid-range mount position, right? If I want to, I could also block his shoulder, right? Cup his head, and then I can start to slide myself up and come up into this high mount position. In both of these, I'm just going to ride the bull here if he starts bucking me and trying to get me off. He might try to like start putting his feet in. We'll cover that in a later video. But generally speaking, like from here, he doesn't really have to. Or he's not going to be able to really do that. The way that he's going to be able to use your armpits by putting his feet in it to kind of get a reversal is that he actually has to buck you down, cause you to post, and then he has to use his hands to keep you there long enough to get his hooks in. So don't worry about that too much yet. Right? So, low mount, up, mid-range mount. From here, if I can slide under his hand and grab his shoulders, I will. I'm going to take my foot and I'm blocking his shoulder with this far side arm, the opposite side arm, and I'm going to slide my leg up underneath his triceps. So anything I can do to kind of get that separated from his body, my hips are going to be a very powerful way of doing that. Now I'm going to take this. Now I don't want to like pick it up, right? Because I don't want him to be able to take this arm and slide it underneath my arm or my leg. So I want to keep pretty good closure here so I can actually get underneath that elbow. And once I get to the top, I center my weight here and I've got a wedge on either side, so it's going to make it very hard for him to start rolling from one side to the other, and then I can start attacking those hands, going for those triangles or whatever. I feel that's what we covered last time. I suppose I could have looked at it before I started making this video. But if we were to go through now, oh no, we went into north-south too. So, north-south and top four-quarters. So, we're going to pretend like this is the head right now, right? I've got the nice side control. I've got this nice hook here. I'm going to come over and slide into my switch base position, right? I can do this from knee right, I can do it from scarf, it's the same kind of deal, right? And so from here, I'm going to take my leg and post it right next to his head, bring the other leg around, and bring it on either side of his head, pinching it. I'm going to bring my hands underneath his elbows, right? So I've got this nice firm grip here, and then I'm going to start to sprawl out, and I'm going to drive into him. I don't want my hips super high, but I want, you know, my toes active. I'm going to be putting weight into him, so he should be feeling weight down and this way, and it should start him to kind of curl up here. Once I have that, right, I can drop my hips to kind of get him on his side here. Usually here, since I've already got the hand under, I'm going to get that figure 4 grip here already, which we'll show you when we have a partner. But for right now, you know, I've knocked him over by rolling my hips into it. I can bring this leg in as a post along his backside, right, to stop him from rolling down. You could be here. It's not as strong, but you could do that, right? And I'm going to take this other leg, come under, and since I've got that figure 4 grip, I can come up and I can start working on that Kimura. If he's grabbing onto his gi or his other arm really hard and I can't do that, I can switch over to the side, I can get that arm bar. So, there's that. Now, if he's in that turtle position, we are in this head-to-head position here, right? So I'm going to put my shoulder blades between my chest, between his shoulder blades. I'm going to take my hand, put it on the back side of the neck in the direction that I'm going. I'm going to start to move to the side. Again, I'm trying to shuffle my feet over without picking them up. Little tiny movements. Once I get to the side, I'm going to turn my hip and I'll pressure into him. So he should feel some weight going this way. My hand is going to go in here onto his inner thigh. My other hand, I might grab his tricep, might grab his forearm, just for kind of control here, right? If I want to come to kind of his back, I can take this. I can take this leg, and I'm going to put it parallel to his body. Right there. And I get this post out to the side here. And this is going to open me up for kind of maybe starting to sweep him over, take him back to side control, or whatever I prefer doing. If I'm also in this position, I can move around to the back, come into this position, pinch my knees together, dropping my weight onto the top of his pelvis right up here, and keep that heavy and elbows tucked in. Listening, again, as always, head is usually connected to him because I don't want him bucking, I don't want to get smacked in the face or whatever, right? So that's going to be like my top 4 quarter. I can also start working my way back around. One thing that gets mentioned a lot in my school that I don't think I've mentioned here before is I don't want to do the wrestler spin around top 4 quarter type deal. And the reason why I don't really want to do that is because the difference between like collegiate styles wrestling and jiu-jitsu or submission wrestling is in collegiate you can't fight from your back. So when I'm on the top in like collegiate styles, I don't have to worry about him rolling to the back because he forfeits the match, right? But in this case, I can totally end up in his guard. If I try to spin around really fast, I can totally end up getting thrown a little bit and then he comes up to the top. So we don't really want to do like that big spin there. Now that I remembered, mount up here, right? I could, from this low mount, I could start pressuring onto this arm to try to separate from his body when he pushes back. I can trap his arm with my body and start pushing on it to kind of get that twist. This hand will go under his head, grab that wrist, which will be pretty easy because he's kind of in this weird, awkward, not very strong position. I'm going to grab that and I'm going to use that to kind of straighten it against here, put my heel in, and I come into this paddle grip, which is going to be, you know, 2 hands on here, or I can go into this figure 4 grip. This is holding onto his wrist, this is holding on my own wrist, and getting that connection here. My heel is as tight into his belly, near his hips, the hinge of his hips, like that really, really soft part above the pelvis, below the ribs, right? Is where that's the gun. My hips drop down behind him and drive forward. So I've got my hamstring on the back of his body, and I've got a little kickstand with my other leg. So it's out at a 45. It's not necessarily tucked in. You could tuck it in. A lot of people do. A lot of black belts do, right? I can have it really far out if the person's really trying to roll me back. Don't get me wrong. Side mount is a bad position to be in, right? So I've got this, right? I can flick that leg out. I can sit up, push him away, and get into the seatbelt grip. One arm over the top, one arm under, and I get my head close to his shoulders, and then I'm in that back mount. Remember, when I'm getting that back mount, my heels are going to be between his legs. If I cross them, I'm going to get submitted by anybody who knows very little about jiu-jitsu. It's one of the first things that you learn, and you only do it once or twice. I may have done it 3 times. I had a guy out in Maine who would actually like use his legs to cross my ankles, and then he would submit me with that. He only did it once, and I was like, nope, nope, nope. So this is kind of the more traditional ways. If you're doing a jiu-jitsu tournament, you're going to want those 2 heels in, at least momentarily. What we'll tend to do a lot of times is we'll tend to fall onto one side. Remember that if you have an overhook, you're fine. If you have an unhook on the side that you fall onto, you want your head underneath their head so they can't flatten out their shoulders to the mat. What I can do in this position is I can bring my shin vertical and I hook onto his hip, right? Or onto his thigh rather. And I take my top leg and I put my heel into his hip. This is going to stop him from like kind of riding up here. And now it's much harder for him to like straighten out my leg and hop over it, right? So I get into this position, and you know, if I'm going for like a rear naked choke, I might start threatening that choke, straighten out his arm, step over it, and trap it behind his body. Now I've got 2 hands to his one to start setting up that choke or whatever. So you know, that's going to be your kind of your basic back mount. I think that's everything.